Lisa McCall, physical therapist, posture princess, lover of movement. Today, we're going to do the squat just like we did last time, but we're going to do it with somebody to help us do it. I mean, I'm going to make sure that somebody here is a little more limited in motion than I am. So last week what we did was I did squatting, elevate the squat, make the squatting more realistic to your life, because a true healthy squat can strengthen your back, create better balance, help you bend better, give you more range of motion in your hips. But it's the quality of the squat that I'm really into. Now, I do it, and I have a lot of motion in my hips. I've been doing this a long time. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, what if I got somebody, my husband, John, to do it, and you could see somebody that had more limited range of motion in their hips, knees, back, and ankles. And maybe you could relate to that better. And so we're calling this Squat for Dummies 2.0. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the mechanics of doing it in a tripod chair. And then I'm going to have John do it so you can see how we would do it different with him. Remember, if you don't, I can't go over everything I did last week. It's on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing, how I elevated it. I did a lot of other things, but let's just go over quickly the movement, and then let's really get into John doing it so you can have some tips with that and questions. Cool. So here we go. Here are two tripod chairs. This one has a wider seat. This one is taller. We're going to play with both of them. I like tripod chairs because it's like a squat, but you're elevating it so you can get the same thing, same benefit in many ways, because it's not how deep you go, it's how well you go down. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to use the shorter one, and I'm going to go through the demo. So I'm going to stand straddled because I want my crotch to land there. I'm going to bring my hands around on my back because I want to keep the natural sacral arch in my back, and if I keep the sacral arch, then my back will be, there'll be a little arch, and then my back will be straight, and yet there'll be an indentation there where my muscles in my back are working on both sides of my spine. So then I'm going to put enough space between my feet that I feel comfortable in bending. I turn my thighs out, I take my bottom up.
Move the chairs this way.
Yeah, I'm going to move that. I'm going to squat down in the center of the tripod chair on my crotch, so my butt sticks out a little. I'm littering on my pubic bone. So being on my pubic bone, it's the same thing as the crotch of your jeans, crotch of your pants. Don't make this complicated. It is, you're not sitting on the pockets of your shorts or your pants. All you got to do is get the seam of some pants, look at them, say I'm going to land on that. Okay? So I'm upright. I don't have to work at it. It's not, my bones are stacked well. The better my bones are stacked, the easier it is to move and the stronger I am. So I'm going to get up. Now to get up, I'm not going to push up. No. Not unless I have to. I'm going to bend, and I'm going to take my bottom up and stand up. And that's what we're going to work on today. And I'm going to show you John's level of movement and his capacity and what he can and can't do, but he can practice it in many different ways. Let's just say we're going to pick two. Now, John has had 2 knee replacements. He does not have full range of motion in his knees, meaning he can't do that. So if you can't do that, that's fine. And he has limited range in his ankles because his hips and knees are a little limited, and he has arthritis in one big toe. See?
He's a mess. In other words, he's a mess.
No, he's not a mess. But it's like we're all in this together. So here we go. So we're going to start off with the tall one because of the limited range he has.
You'll soon see.
Okay, so here comes John. And this is the taller one. And we're going to use it.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Should we move this out of the sun? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
So he's going to stand in front of the chair. He's going to put his fingers on his spine. That also causes him not to slump in the upper spine. Okay? He's going to find the distance between his feet where he's comfortable, and he's going to try to turn his thighs out. And when he bends over, he's going to keep this as straight as he possibly can. And then he's going to look for the tripod, and he's going to grab it if he needs to. Look at that. That's really nice. So he sits down and he's squatted. This is very good. This is hard. Do you feel a stretch in your knees?
I feel a stretch almost everywhere. Yes, I feel a stretch in my knees.
So his knees are being stretched right now because that's probably the max range he has. So it's also stretching his hips, it's stretching his ankles. And now right here, what's going on here? You have to work to keep up?
Yes.
He has to do a little work.
But
now,
it's straight.
Yeah, but the thing is, the beauty of this is when you stretch your hips out, you work these muscles if they're weak, and then pretty soon they stop working because this gets stronger, this gets more mobile, that gets more mobile. They all work together. You don't need to really understand, but they do work together. So, how are we doing?
All right.
Can you move your feet out so your knees will be more comfortable? So say he wants to sit here a little longer, he doesn't have to like put this huge stretch on his knees, but he can have some stretch, and we could make the table higher where he could work on a computer. So I want to show you that he can be comfortable to some degree and still work. We're going to add a pillow in a minute. Now he's going to get up, and if he needs to use the table, he can, but you want to do the cantilever?
Don't you want me to bend over first?
Yeah, so how do you want to do it? Oh, bend to stretch?
Uh-huh.
Okay, go. So now he's like this in what's called spectator stretch, and he's resting his arms on his legs. Are you working here?
Oh, yes.
He's working a whole lot here. This is where everybody seems to feel the most tired, because if he's slumped, go ahead and just let it go, it doesn't, then he's bending at the waist. But if he straightens it, pretty soon this will stay straight and his back will be stronger. Okay, now let's have you want to get up?
Sure.
So he's going to get up, he's going to do what you call the cantilever, right?
I do.
And then he gets his bottom up. So he didn't have to use his hands a lot. Okay, so we're going to put a pillow here real quick.
Okay.
We're just making it higher and softer. So put your hands on your back. The hands on your back keeps his shoulders open, lets him know what's going on in the spine, and his spine stays straight, and he goes down really lovely. Okay, is that a little higher?
Yes.
A little more comfortable?
Yep.
Okay, so you can bring your legs out some. So his pelvis he's laid it right on his crotch, it's good. And if we had a higher piece of furniture, could you work better?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's less stress, but longer can be there. So both are good. It's not a right or wrong. One's going to give him more time there. The other one's going to give him a deeper stretch for a shorter period of time. I'm kind of a fan of this one. I'd rather people get comfortable in these movements so they become a part of the life, but you can do both. Okay, so he's going to get up. He should be a little easier if he doesn't have to use his hands as much. Yeah, there he goes. So he was able to use his hips. Now we're going to challenge him.
Now you didn't want me to do this because of what you're about to see, which is, let's say limited range of motion.
Now this is a little challenging for him, but the reason I do want him to do it, or we discuss this, is so that you can see when it's lower how you have to work a little different, and that's okay. So this is lower. He's going to bend over, he's going to put his feet out, and he's going to do the best he can to get as centered as he can. Do you need to grab the table or the chair?
There's the plop.
And so he has a plop, no big deal. But the plop is common when your hips just won't, there's only so much room and then you have to go down. Now, if you can tell, he's a little slumped because he can't help it. His back has to curve like a little bit like a C because the range of motion in his hip is limited. So I would not ideally want him in this position, but if you're this limited, that's okay. Do it anyway. I mean, it's not like you got to start somewhere. Okay. Now, when he gets out, you feel this in your hips and your knees and your ankles everywhere?
Yes.
Okay, so what he's going to do is get up out of this chair, out of this,
Try.
Try.
He's going to try.
He's going to try to get out of the try. But he may have to use his hands because he may have to use his hands in the table because he doesn't have that mobility to throw his hips up. So ready? When you're ready.
So the reason why I don't is because I can't get my feet underneath me enough to cantilever up because my knees have limited range of motion.
There you
so
go.
I can't
If
push
he
up
could-
so easily.
So if he could get his feet under him more, he'd have
Oh,
an
yeah.
easier time to get his bottom up.
Yeah.
And he knows this, so that's fine. Ready? Go. That was good. That's good. Now, I kind of disagree. I think he could do that one day, even with limited knee range. It's just a matter of his hips getting a little more mobile because you do that a lot better than you used to do it.
Oh, well, I used to not be, I used to fall off the,
Yeah, he used to fall off the tripod chair. Okay, go get this. See, we improve. We all improve. So I just love doing this for all of us, for all levels, because that just shows you he can sit on that, and he used to couldn't even do it. If you feel like you would fall, you take the tripod, you get it close to a piece of furniture so that if you go down and you fall backwards, you have a piece of furniture to catch you. And that's what we used to do. But he's been practicing stretching when he goes to pickleball, and he just puts it in his life, and you put it in your life and it starts to change. That's why I like it when you don't just do it as an exercise, but you do it as a lifestyle. Then pretty soon you don't even notice and it starts to change. And that is much easier, and it's a lot more rewarding because other things are happening besides just hip range of motion. You have the ability to have greater balance, obvious range of motion, strength in the upper back. Can't tell you how many people think they're strong in their upper back, but not from a real functional point of view. And I think that's part of the neck, shoulder, hand problems people have as they get older. It's another story. Questions?
let's see here. This person didn't leave his or her name. What's more important for John, straight back or deeper bend?
Straight back. Because I'd rather him be up higher where his back isn't working as much, because then he gets a little of both. If he goes deeper in the bend and his back can't straighten, it's too taxing for too long. Higher up, straighter back. That's good. Good question.
Billy in North Dakota says, how long could you comfortably sit there without
Wearing out.
cramping?
Yeah. What would you say, John?
Well,
Higher up.
we didn't try it with the pillow.
No, but let's just take the highest
Okay.
one. Let's take the highest seating where he was the most comfortable.
I would say 10 minutes.
10 minutes. That's a long time. I'm telling you, man, that is a long time. Don't think that's a small time. You do 10 minutes of that every day, your body will change. So I need to give you a perspective of time. It's not amount of time as much as getting back to it, doing it, 2 or 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, 2 or 3 times a day, whatever you can do, just keep coming back to it. That's it, frequency.
Frank and Paige says, it looks like John's shoulders stayed tense the whole time. Is that common?
I think John has a little bit of tension in his shoulders. And I don't think that he had more tension. And so maybe getting up and down, he had some tension. I think if he sat there more, and I've seen him change, he used to have a whole lot more tension because he was a journalist and sat in front of a computer. So what I see is a lot less tension in John's shoulders than he used to have. And now, believe it or not, if he sat more, the tension would start to go away. That's how I see it.
Okay, let's see here. What hurts the most in the lowest tripod chair? That's from Cindy in Medford. And my answer, jokingly, would be everything, but honestly, I think it's the tightness in my, I'm going to say my hip flexors or my inner upper thighs.
Yeah. Most people, when
because I'm really tight.
Right in here and
Yes.
here, and he's not unusual. I work with clients all the time. When they really get the movement right, they usually tell me their groin and the hip is what is stretching. It's not uncommon. Even though he thinks it's not uncommon. That's very common when it's going into a movement well, is people have to feel like they're stretching their groin, their crotch, their inner thigh, or hip flexors.
I've got two more. Bonnie in Tucson says, what's better, for John to go deeper or longer in the tripod?
Longer, not deeper.
Why?
Okay, because it's the amount of time he spends, and he can be more relaxed if it's elevated a little. And when you're more relaxed, your body will have a tendency to adapt better. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't ever do the deep one and play with it some, but the one that's going to make the biggest impact is the one where he has some capacity to hold more time and more relaxation in the posture.
Last question is from Fred in Phoenix. John's neck wasn't perfectly straight. Should he concentrate more on his neck while he's sitting there?
It'd be good, but let's talk about that a little bit, our neck thing. Necks are one of the most challenging things for me to help people address because they get stuck like this. And if John continues to work by sitting down like that, he can gently stretch his neck more. It'll make it easier. But it is tightness in there he's had a long time, but it's so much better than it used to be. And that has a lot to do with the fact that he sits better in his hips, which frees his neck up. There's like stages. If you've ever played a sport, if you're going to teach me how to play basketball, you cannot give me the fine-tuned points of foot strategy. You can't. You have to just give me the basics. So John has done the basics, and he's moving up to where he could have better neck strategies as he does this more. Okay? So one way to practice neck, why don't we just talk about this? When you're in the car and you're leaning back in your car and you're sitting, and I have a video of this on my YouTube channel. If you will try to put your head on your headrest, it's likely you can't even do it. You can get a towel and drape it over your headrest, but if you put your head on the headrest with your face just slightly down, you will feel a stretch that you never thought you would believe having, because you may think your neck is kind of straight. But that's a good place to start to find out how tight is your neck, and it's probably tighter than you think. So as he sits like that in the tripod or at his desk, how we've done stuff like this, he will more and more free up in his neck, because I've already seen it change some.
I got one more. Tommy in Dallas says, why is it so hard? I don't understand why it's so hard for John to get up properly from the lowest tripod.
Because three things. when you are, and you need to, Tommy, you need to practice this on your own so it makes more sense, because you'll understand it more. Get a tripod chair and sit really deep and squat low if you don't have a lot of range. And your bottom is maybe lower than your knees, possibly. You have to have a lot of range of motion, in my opinion, in the hips. Now, John's knees are out. Let's say his knees are out here. He's like saying, well, how am I going to get up with my knees out here? And that makes a difference too. So if your knees are out here, which John's are more so, then he has to really have momentum to get up. So his lack of knee range of motion and hip range of motion, they work together. If he had more hip range of motion, he could probably get it. And he does have more hip. But the knee range of motion does limit his ability to have power. You lose the capacity to be strong when you lose the capacity to have range of motion. If my elbow is hurt and I can't fully extend it and I can't fully flex it, flexion is full extension, okay? So that's full. Then I'm going to lose the power or the strength in both sides of my arm, my triceps and my biceps, because of the limited range of motion. So all joints have an ideal range of motion, and when we lose the ideal range of motion, we also lose strength. So that's part of that. But you can cheat by getting more range of motion maybe in his hips, since he doesn't have it in his knees, and that can help him. So the body can compensate, and that's really a gift to be able to, say, okay, I'm going to get more range of my hips because my knees won't bend as well, and that will help. So there you go. Okay, that was fun. Thank you for coming. Please subscribe, please share, like, all those things you do, and I will be back next week on another topic. There you go. Have a good
and I would like to thank my husband.
I'd like to thank my husband for doing all the technical work as well as the squatting work. Thank you.